roll,
She's-
Sherry.
Yeah, Angie's going to do roll call, I think, tonight.
Great, thank you.
Joy Smith,
Here.
Miss LaBeouf,
Here.
Mr. Cole,
Here.
Miss Hand,
Here.
Mr. Foley,
Here.
Mr. Roberts, John Gear.
Here.
First of
All right.
all, I would like to welcome Megan Hand as the newest member of the Board of Zoning Adjustments in Homewood. Megan, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe tell us a little about you.
Hi, I'm Megan. I live in Homewood, as you know, and I used to be an architect for a short period of time before the recession, and now I'm a photographer.
Okay, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. So now who's going to handle the election of officers? Sherry, is that you or Angie or?
I can do it. Let me find a sheet.
I have the information you sent out, so why I asked.
Oh, hallelujah. No, I just came sliding in sideways into the, driveway. Angie was calling me going, they're talking about elections, and I'm going, I'm coming.
Well, I had a furry child issue that
Oh,
delayed me a moment or two. So,
yeah, well, furry children are
yes,
very important in our house.
they are.
Okay. So the first thing that we will do is, are there any nominations for the officer of board chair for the calendar year 2021?
I nominate Miss LaBeouf.
A second.
Mr. Foley has nominated Ms. LaBeouf. Ms. Smith has seconded his nomination. Ms. LaBeouf, would you consent to serving for the calendar year 2021 as chair?
Yes, I will.
Are there any more nominations? Nominations are closed, and Ms. LaBeouf is elected chair by acclamation.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next officer is vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Mr.
Yes,
Foley. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Ms. LaBeouf had spoken first.
No, he can go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Cole,
I was going to nominate Mr. Matt Foley.
is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cole has nominated Matt Foley, and Ms. Smith has seconded that nomination. Mr. Foley, would you consent to serving?
Yes.
Are there any more nominations? Nominations are closed. Mr. Foley has been elected vice chair for the calendar year 2021 by acclamation.
Thank you. The next item of business is the approval of the minutes from February 4th. Did everyone get a chance to read those? Or did?
I was not present, so I won't vote.
Oh, that's right. I found one little thing. On page 6 of 8, Ms. Williams, the next to last paragraph.
Actually,
There was a,
The minutes were prepared by Fred.
okay.
Fred, are you with us?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I joined a little late, but I'm here now.
Okay. Page 6 of 8,
Okay,
the next to last paragraph,
okay,
next to last sentence, second word in, it says if a report had been repaired, but I think it should be if a report had been prepared.
okay. Thank you. Well, I'll make that correction.
The report may have needed repairing if it had been prepared.
Prepaid. You are correct.
It probably needed repairing too, so
It probably
that's good.
did.
Both would apply.
But it's the English major in me, so you can blame that.
No.
Otherwise, I didn't see anything. So if anybody would like to move that we approve them, well, I think we'll accept that.
I move we approve the minutes from this is the
There's a second.
February BZA meeting.
There's a second.
A second.
Thank you. I guess I'll approve, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. I have no reports. Mr. Vice Chairman, do you have a report?
Nope.
All right. Then we'll go straight to, well, we don't have any old business, so new business. BZA case SD 21-03-01, 331 Laurel Place. With the applicant, please raise your hand and tell us your
Yes,
story.
this is Jared Bussey. I'm the architect on the project. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm the applicant. Also want to mention that Colt Byram, he may be on this call. He will be the builder, Byram Building, and the Buckners, Ellen and Ryan are also, I think, on this call. I'm not sure if they wanted to address the board or not, but I want to give them a chance if so.
Hey, everybody.
I'll say real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, this is Colt Byram. Just letting y'all know I'm on a call in. I'm not on a Zoom or video. So, but contractor, if y'all have any questions down the road, and then I'll turn it over to the Buckners.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, just wanted to say thanks for hearing the issue at hand. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to our request. As you can tell from the my site plan, we've got a house layout here. This is not a typical Homewood lot. It's nice and wide, but it's not particularly deep. We're showing our house layout here, and we've got plenty of room on the lot width, and are really not having any issues with those side setbacks. But we do, we feel because the lot isn't really all that deep, we'd like a little bit of relief just to try to get away from that rear yard setback or rear yard property line. We've got a neighbor that abuts this rear property that's actually their side yard. And so, you know, trying to maximize a rear setback, one, gives us a usable backyard, but it also kind of gives some relief to our backyard neighbor there. On my site plan, you'll see I've got a little calculation of the houses that are in our impact area, and the ones that really apply to us are on Laurel Place. And so we've got a pretty good front setback of 45 feet, which is not typical either. In the application, there is a note just outside of our impact area at 319 Laurel, just one lot over from, it's about 150 feet, 140 feet away. They've got a really close front yard setback of 31 feet. I know that technically doesn't count, but we did want to mention that, as there are other houses on this block that are quite a bit closer. So given the relative shallow depth of the lot, and given the condition with our neighbor and want to maximize rear setbacks, we're asking for a 10-foot variance So we can have about, have a 35.5 foot front yard setback.
All right, this is a public meeting. If anyone has anything they would like to say, they can come forward now.
Yes, good evening. This is Jeff and Kendra Polishek. We are at 1504 Melrose Place, directly behind this home. And we just had a couple of comments to make. And I think first and foremost, having the home closer to Laurel does indeed give us some more relief on the backside, and that's really important. I think the concern for us is the closeness of the garage, both to the property line and to Melrose Place in particular. There isn't any other structures along Melrose Place that are, approximately 10 to 15 feet from the road itself. So if we were coming up Melrose Place, there's nothing else that close to the street, which is concerning, just for how tight that will be. Also, as we get into our driveway, getting in and out of our driveway, it becomes pretty blocking for how we would enter and exit. When I look at the site plan in front of us, it was a little confusing just to make sure we understood the 10-foot variance. Was it to the front of the covered porch or to the front of the house? And now, obviously, in hearing this, it looks like that setback is to the front of the covered porch, because my first thought was, well, if it was to the corner of the house, the whole house could indeed move up even 10 feet farther, which could pull the garage farther towards Laurel Place, which we would certainly be in support of. So we're just concerned with the proximity of the garage, both to Melrose Place and to, that part of our property line. I don't know if there's any address that could come as part of that, but again, we're thankful that the house is being pushed farther to Laurel to give some relief on the house part, but we're concerned about the garage section. So thank you for the chance to speak tonight.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public portion of this case and open it up for the board to ask questions. And I would like to start with one, because the proposed plan that I received in my packet and the proposed plan that was in the staff notes that were received today are two different houses. Can you explain to me which one is the one we're looking at?
the one, the house, the plot plan in the report shows a 15-foot setback for the garage, but it really should be 10. 10 is allowed.
I will say, this is Colt Byram, and I'll go ahead and state my name and address, or my address. Colt Byram, 3110 Whitehall Road. The one in the public packet that was on the website is correct.
Okay.
So if it shows 15,
Yeah.
that was a
Oh, it
that was
shows
previously.
it shows an entirely different house.
All right.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
bear
think-
any resemblance
So
to this house.
we had two original plans floating around, and that was an original one. But this is the updated one that's on the public website.
I just wanted to be sure.
The packet that, let me see. Look at the report. Is it possible, Ms. LaBeouf, that you're looking at the house that is shown on page 3?
No, I'm
No,
looking at page
no, that's probably not.
7. This is
So
it,
it's that's,
which is an entirely different.
yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
That, yeah, that's the wrong one.
Okay.
And that's my fault.
All right, that's fine.
The,
We just all
but
need
it's
to be
really
working out the same.
it's not a whole lot, the actual, hang on.
All right, if the board
Can
has any
someone,
questions.
can someone confirm which one am I supposed to be looking at? can you show me the plan? Is it the one with just the front porch out front?
Yeah.
10 feet
Yeah,
variance?
it's the one with the showing the garage at 10 foot. The other one was
Right.
an early draft that Sherry had that got put in on accident. So sorry to confuse, but it's the one with the 10 foot, the garage that's
Okay.
being 10 foot off of Melrose.
Jared, do you want to address the neighbor's comment about the garage, to
Yes,
Melrose
thank
Place
you.
as well as to the property?
Yeah, I guess first I would start by just highlighting that the actual variance request that we're going for is one that they're in favor of in terms of getting them more space from the main house to the property line. So in terms of that, in terms of the specifics of the variance, it sounds like they're in favor of that. Their concern with the detached garage is, that garage is in compliance with the zoning ordinance. It's not really part of this request. That will be, it will comply in terms of the height limits. And I guess I can understand the concern, but it is a secondary structure, and it's certainly going to be a smaller structure than the main house itself. I mean, we could, I guess the house could come even further forward. We thought that a 10-foot ask was a reasonable one and kind of kept the character of the street. I'm not sure pulling the house to 30 feet or even 25 feet in order to move the garage is really a reasonable thing. But I guess we just look at it as the garage is in compliance, and what we're talking about is actually a benefit to the neighbors.
Ms. LaBeouf, there is something that I'm just going to throw out there just so it's out there. Houses along Melrose Place that are
You're muted, Sherry. Ms. Williams, you're muted.
Sorry, Sherry, you weren't, and then you were. Sorry.
now, okay, now
You're good.
am I, okay, good.
Mhm.
I have no idea what I said. But it was good. I just wanted to let you know that directly across the street from the subject property is a house that is Melrose. That along Melrose, from that point, from the corner of Laurel and west, those houses are much closer to the street than the houses along Laurel. If you have concerns about the location of the detached garage, even though it is compliant, and you wanted to move the house a little closer to Laurel than the request, would not be out of character with the surrounding area, because it is so close to those other houses that face Melrose and are much closer.
Yeah, I guess I look
mean,
at it and I'm less concerned with, I guess, the setback on Laurel as I am, even though it's compliant, the garage structure is going to be closest to the street of anything along Melrose.
Even if you didn't, even with the detached garage being at 10 feet from Melrose, if you felt like it would be better if it were moved up more, then that's just something to consider. I don't think it would be out of character for the neighborhood if you were to move the house up, which would allow them to move the garage up.
I mean, this is Colt Byram again. I'll speak to this. I mean, with what was passed in January, we can move, I mean, we can move the entire house over 10 feet from Melrose and push, and you said we didn't have a garage. I'm not saying we want to, but that's the new code that Homewood, on a corner lot, you
Right.
can go 10 foot to the secondary front. So that's just what we're asking for. And so, you know, I think Homewood, if safety was a concern or it was tough getting out of a neighbor's driveway, I don't know that they would have adopted or accepted a 10-foot, you know, secondary front. So that's just to kind of put that out there. But I will say, you know, I'd be happy to meet you guys out there and with the Buckners and kind of show you where that is and take into consideration your concerns. And if there's landscaping on our property that would also block you when you're coming out of the driveway, we'd be happy to address that and make sure that it, you know, is cohesive with you guys and pulling out of your driveway in the end. We'd be happy to do that.
You know, something else to consider is there is a 15-foot difference in elevation from the
Driveway.
adjacent property, which,
We gotta come up looking at it, whether backing out or coming out.
you know, when you're, you know, so the height of the structure is not going to be as visually imposing as it would be if these lots were of the same elevation. That's just something else that to consider. And you know, I think I have.
Could I interject?
Yeah, excuse me, I'm Bernice Hawkins. I live on Laurel.
Ma'am, we've closed the public portion.
Oh, well, I tried to get in, but you wouldn't let me. You took me off too soon. I'm not really good with Zoom meetings, but I live on Laurel. So I'm the only one that represents Laurel.
All right, we would need to reopen the public portion. Is there, do I hear?
You're killing me. I was going to be supportive of it, but that's okay. I will be muted by you again.
I'm not muting you. I'm not handling the meeting. So I'm not doing that.
Well, that's okay. I was going to be supportive of the fact that, yes, they need to have that ability to get out of their driveway. And yes, it's not going to alter what Laurel Place looks like. You know, I mean, the houses all around Homewood are every which way. But consider there's a stop sign there too. Okay. And them getting out of their driveway is going to be hard with the stop sign and being close to a neighbor. So I'm done. Thank you. I know I'm not.
And Beverly, that was me that muted her. She had unmuted twice, and it was after the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Hello?
Megan?
Hi, I'd like to ask two questions to maybe to Jared. My first question is there a reason why you chose to have a detached garage? Could you have saved those 6 feet in the back or in the front of the property if you attach the garage to the house? And my second question is the garage, how much higher is the garage than the grade behind it?
10
Okay.
feet. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I think in an effort to kind of have some flexibility on the site in terms of where the house would sit and where the garage would sit, having that detached was a good strategy. I think it also kind of keeps down the overall mass of the structure by being able just to pull that away. And also too, just given the roughly square shape of the site, we thought that was a better way to kind of make use of the grades. And really, I should have led with the topography is the main reason. Melrose slopes up pretty significantly from, as we've heard, from Laurel Place up the plan. And so to attach all of this would have required a lot of site work, a lot of moving of dirt, or some strange connections between driveway and house. In terms of the relative elevation, I think we were looking at I mean, was it 10 to 15 feet, I think, between grade differences between where our garage would sit and where the adjacent property is. And our building will, that garage won't be any taller than the 25 feet as required by the code. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Something else to consider. Ms. Hand, if the detached garage were to be attached to the house, it would be part of the house. And could have a height of 35 feet or 38 feet on a crawl space. So that's going to add a significant difference to what they have proposed. I don't know if you saw in the report, and not that this is the biggest complaint, but it was something that was brought up. If you look on page 6 of the report at that photograph, that shows the house rows in relation to the existing conditions on Laurel.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we talk about moving it further towards Laurel, then we have to carry it over to repost it with the correct dimension, correct?
I think it can be a proffer, can it not?
But if we're
Or
going to
no?
give them a bigger variance than they've
Yeah.
asked for.
Yeah, I mean,
So if they pull it 10 more feet forward, that's a 20-foot variance rather, or that adds 10 more feet to the request.
I
Correct.
guess it just depends on if that's something that they want to consider and if it's worth putting off until.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's something we really, that was not anything we were prepared to change about the application. I think the 35 feet, I think that's a modest change that fits in the character. I mean, I'm not sure why we would make a change when nothing else is. I mean, this is a compliant garage.
Yeah.
I
It
don't know
is.
why. I would rather not change anything. I mean, Colt or the Buckners can speak up, but I think the garage honestly is a moot point.
I guess the only reason I said anything, Jared, was because I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if y'all were going with this request because you felt like it was reasonable and safe when really truly you wish to be closer. And if that is something that in your heart you wish you could be, then it's something to discuss. But
understand.
if not, if you want it where it is, then move forward. And because you're right, the detached garage is compliant and it is not a part of this variance request.
I guess I would defer to the Buckners if they're still on this call, if they would like to change the application.
No, I mean, we don't have any desire to be any closer to Laurel than the application proposes. We're fine with the setback that we're requesting.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Any more questions from the board? Then we'll
And
entertain a
then,
motion.
I guess this
Go
is
ahead.
a completely new construction project. That's correct?
That's correct.
I've got some questions too, but I'll let Matt finish.
I guess while the lots may be shallower, I don't know. I guess the 45-foot setback does make it a little bit. I guess for a second I was challenging the hardship. But I do. I guess the 45-foot setback is a little bit aggressive, but
Well, I think really truly, if you look forward a few years. The two houses to the north, it is my understanding, those property owners do plan to do some renovations in the near future, just not right this second. So if they were to, let's say the one that is two from this one to the north, if they were to go ahead and do their renovations, they could be as close as 319 is, which is right at, 30, I think 30.9 feet. Then the next people could be at 30.9 feet, but but the subject property, if without a variance, would be way back. And then it's really going to look, out of character by allowing it to go ahead and scooch up. It's going to be in line with all of the houses along Laurel once those other two redevelop. I mean, I know you can't do anything based on what ifs, but it is something to consider, because at this point both of those lots could redevelop at 30.9 feet.
I think my concern is that this isn't a small house, and not only is it very close to Melrose, but it's very close to Melrose and asking for a variance. It just seems like a very out of character home for the area. And it seems like, is it necessary? And is it respectful to the neighborhood?
The distance from Melrose is not the request, because it's compliant. It's just the distance from Laurel.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I think that my concern, as I said, is because it's already getting wider on the property.
Yeah.
Is it going forward for an extra 10 feet necessary?
My response to that would be with such a tight buildable area, if we were not to get this variance, our buildable area just gets wider. And right now we've got a 10-foot setback off of Melrose. We're actually setting another 13.5 feet off of that. So we're a good 23 feet off of Melrose. I think that to not get this setback would force the house to only become wider to make it a reasonably livable house, which would actually worsen the Melrose condition. So I would argue that we're not, I think we're actually being really respectful to Melrose by getting as far away from it as we can and only doing a detached garage on that side. As Sherry mentioned, if we were to attach it, it could be a 35 or 38 foot tall structure. So we're trying to kind of get a little more regular buildable space so we can really get away from, give more room to the neighbors, give more room to Melrose. I think this improves the constructability of the property and the character of the street. And it lets us stay away from Melrose.
So Jared, I've got questions. For the garage, we keep talking about 10 feet, but it's really approximately 15 feet from Melrose, right? It's 10 feet from the property line, but from the property line to the street, it's another 5 feet, I think.
That's correct. At least, that's right.
And then, as you were saying, Melrose side for the house, you're not only that, 14 to 15 feet, plus you're 13.6 away. So you have pushed away to break that area up to kind of push away from Melrose.
Right.
And on the front, what you're doing is really, best I can tell, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it's really for the porch. It's not the actual house, right? It's the porch that's taken in the 10 feet open air porch. Is that a true statement, or is a little bit of that upstairs pop over?
No, that you're exactly right. There is a little rendering in the packet. That is
Right.
That's a 1-story porch structure with a little slopey roof that's going to be in that. That's really what the variance request is for. The dormer on the second level stacks above the main level of the house. So
Yeah. Okay.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's, I mean, to me, that's what we're looking at, just 10 feet for the open air porch. The house itself is back the appropriate place. And you've got us a relief on Melrose at that point.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Any more questions from the board?
I'll move we approve BZA case SV-21-03-01.
I'll second.
All right, I will call the roll. All right, Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Ms. Hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. You have
Thank you very
180
much.
You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks.
Next, we have BZA case SV 21-03-02, 914 Salter Road.
Beverly, I have to recuse myself on this.
Thank you. Remember that for the vote, Mr.
So that means
Fred.
Mr. Greer, I guess, will be voting in my place.
That's correct.
Yes. All right, is the applicant here?
Yes. Hey guys, just appreciate it. Colt Byram again. Just talk to y'all. Would y'all like me to restate my address? Well, I will, just in case. 3110 Whitehall Road, Homewood. I appreciate y'all's time. As y'all have looked through the packet or seen our request, we tried to be pretty inclusive of what we had put on here as far as floor plans and survey pictures. But basically the layout of the house has got the living areas in the front, bedrooms in the back, as well as how the house sits on the lot. It's really kind of pushed to the rear. You'll see in pictures there's a parking pad in the rear that's concrete. So really this is kind of a front yard house, and the lot lends itself to that. The layout of the house lends itself to that. So the living area off the front, I'll pause and say Christopher and Jenna Bailey have this property under contract with me. In fact, they were the ones that got it under contract, and then my building company ended up closing on it, and then they've got it under contract to buy from me after a renovation. So if you need to speak to him, Christopher Bailey is on the call as well. But basically for their family, they would like to add a kind of an outdoor living area, screen porch that is covered and screened onto the front of the house off of the living room, as you'll see the floor plans. Currently with the adjacent house, it is 16 feet closer to Salter than we are. Therefore, we could build the covered porch out 16 feet without getting a variance. But with the width of what we would be able to build given the side setback, the owners would like to add 4 feet to that towards Salter to the front. So that being said, that's our request, and I'll just kind of leave it at that and open up for questions.
Is there anyone from the public here who would like to address this case? Are you seeing anyone, Brian? Okay. All right, in that case, we'll close the public portion and then open it up for questions from the board. So you stated this will be a screened-in porch. Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll answer.
Sorry,
Yes.
my phone muted. But yes, screened-in porch is the plan. Yes.
Okay. And I realize.
If it
Go ahead.
If it helps, it's possible that they would make it kind of like a sunroom living room as well, and be able to put, you know, a glass panel or a plexiglass panel in there, or a removable window in there at certain times of year to be able to, you know, enclose that in the house as well.
So the neighbor to the left is house is, as you say, pulled further out. So I'm concerned about the number one, I guess, noise from a screened-in porch to their porch, and also the visibility. Have y'all considered either one of those issues?
Yeah, so visibility is not, you see from the vicinity pictures looking from Salter, or visibility is not really an issue in this case. The houses both sit 30 feet or so up off of Salter. There's a dirt buffer and a tree buffer, that so visibility is not really an issue that we can see. As far as a noise concern, I mean, they've got a large front porch out there as well, and so you know, I don't see that being an issue, and we haven't really taken that into account, or but you know, I guess you have that potential with any screen porch, whether it's front or back, to be a noise issue to a neighbor. But these aren't, you know, rowdy people who are going to be partying on their front porch.
I will say the experience that I'm speaking from is my family lives in New Orleans. And so I'm used to houses close together and having to see what's going on in the other house.
Sure.
You're right there, 3 feet from them.
Right.
Because they all live
in, right.
They live in uptown, but the lots are small. So I always look at that. In other words, I'm drawn to that when I look at something. And I'm just wondering, you know, if they would be interested in planting some kind of buffer for those windows.
Yeah, I think they would definitely be open to that. And I hear you, and I think they would be open to that. So I'll talk to them about that. They do have interest in, there's a lot of driveway on the property and a lot of parking areas and park paths, and taking some of that out and making more of it green and planted with grass and trees. But I will also say, you know, the plan is to build a covered screen deck there anyway. So that's the location that it's planning on going based on, you know, everything we've looked at anyway. We're just asking to make it a little larger.
Well, I guess that's my, or go ahead. Well, I'll continue. I guess what I'm struggling with is why the additional 4 feet's needed. I think you mentioned, you know, some other restrictions on the lot that I guess I'm struggling to see. And then also with 16 feet in depth and then some width that you have that you could build out. And I guess I'm not really agreeing with the hardship case here.
Ms. LaBeouf, can I comment?
You say, go ahead.
I'm sorry. When when you consider the floor plan of the house and, you know, all the private areas are on the back and all the common areas are on the front. Once I looked at the floor plan, it really made more sense to me about what they were trying to do. Because the first time I spoke with Colt about it, I was like, wait a minute, you know, what are you doing? But then I also, that's really the only place that you could expand common living area is on the front. And, you know, it does meet the setback on the side. So going toward the front a little bit more to allow for that. I call up, is the plan still to have that fireplace there? So it's really not going to even look like, it's not going to look like a screen porch. If you were to look at the front of the house, which you can't see from Salter anyway, but if you were to look at the front of the house, it's not going to look like just a screen porch is sitting there. Because it does have this fireplace structure. Is that correct, Cole?
That's correct. Yeah. So we tried to kind of show that in elevation, the fireplace on the front. That takes up 2 foot of it. They wanted to have a little sitting area around the fireplace or right in front of it, and then have room for just a little outdoor table. So given that really we can only go 12 feet wide, in order to kind of fit that layout in there, and again, and with the fireplace being taken up, you know, basically 3 feet of that, that is the reason for the ask. And
Anyone else have any questions?
I would be, yeah, go ahead. So sorry, go ahead and
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
continue.
I'm fine.
No, it's okay. I lost my thought, but it'll come back in a second, and I'll come back to y'all.
I know the feeling. Anyway, does anyone on the board have any other questions?
I guess I just want to clarify the reasoning for the variance or the hardship request is the layout of the floor plan and the desired amount of additional space working off of the existing floor plan.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
There's not really an outdoor area, period, open deck, covered deck, anything for this family to enjoy without coming off that front family room. Again, private areas in the back, driveway on the side of the house where the kitchen exit is. So this is kind of the natural space on the lot for it. May I make I guess possible, I don't know how we want to call it or word it, but
a proffer. It's called a proffer.
There you go, proffer. They're okay not taking the deck all the way out to what we're proposing, but would like to take the fireplace out that far. So I don't know if we need to leave it as is, or if I could request only 2 feet and then a fireplace outside of that to sit outside of that 2 feet, if that makes sense.
No, that doesn't make sense.
It does not make sense.
No.
Okay.
You're just gonna have a freestanding
So
fireplace.
the fireplace. No. I mean, the fireplace would go out to the 4 feet, and so therefore I may still need my variance, but the actual structure, the roof line, everything will not go out that far. The fireplace could sit outside of the structure, and I could bring the structure in 2 feet. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're talking roofed area.
If that helps. Roofed area, yes, ma'am.
We have a motion.
Mr. Foley, you're muted.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I had one last question. What is highlighted in yellow on the proposed plan? That is a screened-in porch?
What? 1 second. Highlighted yellow on the proposed plan. On the survey or on which? Not
Sheet
seeing
A20.
A20. Yeah. Sorry, it's not highlighted on my printout, so I apologize. So I guess the highlighted on y'all's sheets is the 4 feet in front of that dash line. Is that what's highlighted?
It's the space, the 20-foot deep space with the fireplace.
Right. That's correct.
So that entire space is a screened-in porch,
Yes, that's correct.
and you have to walk out the front door to get into that space, or is
No.
the plan?
No, this doesn't show, but where that triple window is will be French doors.
Did y'all consider taking it off the kitchen? Putting the screen porch off the kitchen?
Yeah, it was considered. I mean, there's a small single door there, and you're walking, through your pantry and onto your driveway. So just naturally, this front off the living area is where it fit better and where the owners would like it.
It's probably cheaper too, isn't it, Colt? I mean, you don't have plumbing in
It
the,
is. I mean, we'd have to
Yeah.
tear up driveway, and power service comes in right there, things like that.
Are there any other questions? All right, well, I'll make a motion to approve BZA case SV 21-03-02.
I'll second.
Just for clarification purposes, that was the proposal as presented. It did not reflect that proffer that was offered a little bit earlier. It's as
Correct.
presented. Okay. All right. Okay, I'll call the roll. Ms. Smith,
No.
Ms. LeBeouf,
No.
Mr. Foley,
No.
Ms. Hand,
Yes.
and Mr. Gear.
Yes.
3 noes.
Sorry, what
sorry.
was the final vote? I couldn't hear all of that.
It
3
was,
noes and 2 yeses.
right. So your
Okay, so
variance is not approved.
Okay, so I mean, had I asked to just, I mean, really, we're wanting that living area to be. We're okay with the 16 feet, but when you add 2 foot of a fireplace and another hearth, and it pushes in. So, is there? I mean, I guess tell me what the zoning says about building a fireplace. Does it have to be within the setback, or can it be outside of that, outside of my setback? So could it sit outside of my 16-foot deck that I built? Could I then put a fireplace outside of that? And had I presented it that way, would y'all have looked at it differently?
Well, if it sat outside it, you wouldn't have presented it because you wouldn't be here. It was 16 feet, but Ms.
So
Williams.
I can build, then, are
Is
you
that a
saying I
que-
can build the deck 16 feet and then put the fireplace, the face
No.
of the fireplace at that 16 feet and build outside of that?
No, I was saying if that was the case, then you wouldn't have need to come to us. But Ms. Williams, is that something you would rather staff talk with him about at the office, about what he can and
Yes.
can't do?
Yes.
Yeah, Colt, why don't you take that up with the office and see
Okay.
what y'all can work out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you, Colt. All right, next case is BZA case SB 21-03-03, 228 Saxon Drive.
Hey, my name's Carly Patrick. I live at 228 Saxon Drive, and my builder, Clint Singletary, is on the call as well on a cell phone. And he said he was in the waiting room. I don't know if that can be seen on y'all's screen, but we are working on doing an addition to the house, extending the back of the house, and we're applying for a 1-foot variance so that we can keep the addition along the existing foundation lines.
And I do not have anybody in, and hasn't been anybody in the waiting room, so I'm not sure where he would be.
Okay.
Hey, am I unmuted?
Oh, yes. Hey, Clint.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I'm here. Sorry, I'm not sure how Zoom works.
Neither do we.
Hey, after a year, we still don't know, so don't worry about it.
Can I just add something to what Carly was telling you about the variance that we're applying for?
Sure, if you would give your name and address, please.
Yeah, my name's Clint Singletary. I'm with Carly. She's at 228 Saxon Drive, and I'm going to be the one that's doing the construction on the house. And what we're asking for is a 1-foot variance. We're planning on doing a 10-foot addition off the back of the house, and we want to follow the existing foundation and roof line just to kind of help keep costs down and, you know, make everything look nice and symmetrical. And our back left corner of the structure, I don't know if y'all can see that on the plan, we've got to have a 10-foot setback, and we're going to be like 9 foot, right around 9 foot on our setback on our back corner. And that's what we're trying to get approved. We just want to try to keep this addition at 10 feet so that we can maximize her space in that bedroom.
Okay. This is a public hearing. If anyone else would like to speak to this case, please do so now.
Hey, Beverly. Hey, it's Matt Rich. I'll come on. There we go.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Beverly. Hey, I was going to let y'all know.
Matt, state your name and address. I'm
Yep,
sorry.
so
I'm new at chairing, so I'm.
Oh, I know. So Matt Rich, I am at 239 Fairlane Drive. So you will see mine is adjacent to Carly's. So if you're looking out that direction, I would be able to see her house right over there. So her variance request is kind of right up against ours. It's not 236, but 239. For us, I fully support it. The only one that may have a problem with this variance request is her dog Finn, which is going to be less of a backyard for him to run around with back there. But fully support it. Just want to let y'all know from a neighbor, it's fine by us. I don't see it adversely affecting, you know, the property line or us at all. So just wanted to come on and fully support it. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? All right, we'll close the public portion and open it up for questions from the board.
So you've already stated that you're extending the existing kind of facade of the house along the foundation line and the roof line. And I believe the variance or request or the hardship is coming from the fact that the house is kind of set on an angle, it's skewed against, it's not parallel to your property line, and that you also have a irregular shaped lot. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is the materials of the house continuing on to the addition to be the same?
Yes.
And basically this 1 foot is really just that back triangle corner. It's not even the whole addition, correct?
Yes, sir. That's just that back corner.
So I guess if we give the 1 foot setback, we should say as presented as drawn, not for the whole 1 foot along the whole house.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any other questions?
Now I'll make a motion then to pass case number SV-21-03-03 with 1 foot setback variance as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, roll. Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Ms. Hand.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing it in the neighborhood. The next case is BZA case SB 21-03-04, 302 Claremont Drive.
Yes, this is Jason Hale. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Vernons. I live at 1400 Sutherland Place. They live across the street from me. I'm also a builder, so I actually built the garage that's in question about maybe 5 years ago. At the time, it was, I don't know if y'all can see me good. It was really only a 5 foot setback, and the structure I think is maybe 17, 18, 19 feet tall. Not a tall garage. It's off the alley. It's compliant. It was compliant at the time. That what they want to do now is convert the attic space as really like an art room for them to use. It won't be rented out. That's, they can proffer that. There's no interest in that. Really, the hardship is that it just sits a little over 5 feet from the property line now. And the setbacks have changed slightly, but they're not taking the roof off and raising it or anything. They're going to literally just pop a little dormer window out the other side, not even the side facing the neighbor, to be facing into their rear yard, and build some steps on the inside of their property up to it. It's almost really kind of a technicality because we're not really raising the height or anything. So the hardship is.
Yeah. Let me just explain why, in case you don't even really get why he's here. We've had a little bit of problem in the past with some detached accessory structures that were being renovated. So we just wanted to be very sure that the plan was understood, that even though the roof will not be raised, there will be a dormer added, or that space to allow for more headroom. So it is changing the roof line, since it is considered non-compliant, we felt like that was a big enough change that it needed to come before you guys. It was not something that we were comfortable just approving administratively, even though it's not being increased in size or the footprint, or it will not be, the nonconformity will not increase. Do you understand why? Exactly. Why we
Sherry,
thought
so
that, yeah.
basically it's just, Sherry, the
Yes, sir.
dormer is the only reason, right? It's just the dormer. If we didn't have the dormer, it wouldn't be before
I'm sorry,
us. Is
Mr.
that
Cole, you're
correct?
freezing up. Are you freezing up or am I?
I don't know. Anyone else hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
It's me
I was
then.
just saying, if the dormer is the only thing poking out of it, it's the only reason they're here, in your opinion. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be here.
Because it is a non-conforming detached accessory structure, and the roof line is being changed in its shape.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying, the dormer. Right,
Right.
the dormer.
right,
If that dormer wasn't there, they could renovate it and they wouldn't be here.
correct.
Okay, that's
But
it.
yeah, that's all. That is the reason they are here. Because it's a non-conforming
Okay.
detached accessory structure.
All right. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to this case, you may do so now. Not hearing anyone, close the public portion and open it up to the board to ask their questions.
I have none further.
Anyone else have any questions?
No, I'll move we approve BZA case SV 21-03-04.
I'll second
I'm sorry, who seconded?
it. I did, I'm
Who
sorry.
did? I'm sorry, I didn't.
There, Mr. LaBeouf.
Okay, all right. Roll call. Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Ms. Hand.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
You too. And our last case tonight is BCA case SV 21-03-05, 1601 Lake Ridge Circle.
Hey, my name's Joe Fonte, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Mark and Susie Mullins, who are also on the call. They live, again, like you said, at 1601 Lake Ridge Circle. And tonight we're asking for a final side yard variance of 5 feet. Mark, Susie, you want to say hi and introduce yourselves?
Hey, sure. Mark and Susie Mullins. We've been Homewood residents for 28 years. All 3 kids have gone through Homewood. We now have 4 grandkids. So we're looking to extend the back of the house and be the place that the family gathers for holidays.
Yeah, so a little bit about this house. It's located on a cul-de-sac lot that was previously subdivided so that a second house could be built on it. Our house in question was the original house on the property. And its uniqueness is that it's rotated about 30 degrees to what are now the side property lines. So our house on that side currently has a 6.5 foot side setback at that back corner. And so what we've designed is a master suite addition on that back right side to the house, which keeps the master suite on the private side of the house, furthest away from the driveway. And so what we're trying to do with this design is also step in our addition off the rear so that we don't get too much closer to the side property line. Again, so we're trying to really minimize that amount so that we're only kind of getting up to the 5 foot side setback.
Joe, I'll add that we've shared our plans with both neighbors and they can speak for themselves.
This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to it, you may do so now. Signaling that you wish to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, my name is Faye Black. I live next door in 1600 Lake Ridge Circle. It's a lovely plan. I think it's great and I approve wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, George Youngson here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, we're at 1605 Lake Ridge Circle. We joined the site in question. We've talked, the Mullins have been very helpful and forthcoming. We do approve of the plan, have no issue with that variance on that back corner. As long as all the other codes and variances are, the height and all those things are in compliance, we're fine with it as well.
Anyone else? All right, we'll close the public portion and then move to questions from the board.
I got a question just looking at the site plan, the WAGAN survey plan, and I'm sure it's probably a scale thing, but there's a lot of dimensions on it, so I would have thought it was drawn to scale, but the corner of the addition is actually closer to the property line than the existing corner of the house, based on the way the dimensions are, yet the drawing kind of shows it a little bit further away.
Yeah, that's really just because of the way the house is rotated on that lot with that unique angle. So if we were to extend the existing, edge of the house further back, we would be encroaching even more and really kind of getting closer to touching the property line. And so part of our design effort was to have a step back on that side so that because of the angle, we still aren't getting as close to that property line. So we were trying to be more respectful and at least maintain the minimum 5 foot, which, is one of the standard side setbacks on a house that's less than 100 feet wide.
No, I get that. I'm just saying your drawing, it's further away. It looks like it's more than the 6.6. And it must be the drawing just isn't to scale.
Get the drawing back in front of me real fast.
Sure.
So the existing is 6.6, and then our new addition is proposed to be 5.1. So
graphically, it's just not looking closer.
It must just be a graphic thing for us, I guess, there.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question. The summary that we got showing the dimensions that they want, it did say 5'1", but then it was marked out in red and someone wrote 4.9. So is that just that was just to change the amount of the variance request, not to.
No, Beverly, that's 5.1 is what they're going to have, so they get
Right.
4.9 variance.
Right. Okay. It just was confusing that it was marked through, and I just wanted to be sure
No,
which
it's
dimensions were correct.
Yeah, I think the 4.9 is correct. That's what's left over to the variance. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
And I even used my calculator on this one, so I'm glad to know that.
No wonder I have a question.
I was going, oh my God. Thank you, Mr.
Is the addition using sort of the same character as that existing house, which is beautiful, as well as
Yes,
material?
that's the plan. So we're going to kind of try to carry as much of that character of that house towards the back and on that master addition. And again, to speak to one of the neighbors' comments, just keeping it the single story house, kind of utilizing, the flatter section of the property back there before it starts to fall off and go down the hill.
Right. Okay. No further questions from me.
I was wondering, is the reason why you can't move that addition away from the property line because you're trying to keep that existing wall to line up with the remodel?
So we're trying to keep the private corridor of the house really where all the bedrooms are in line, kind of on that side. And then the center part of the house is really more of the public space for the living rooms. And so part of the new addition has the living room extension off of the existing living room. So there isn't really a spot to kind of slide it further over to the left on your plan. If we slid it over further to the right, we'd be further encroaching closer to the, property line.
Any other questions? I hear a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept BZA case number SV-21-03-05 as submitted with the variance requested.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Ms. Hand.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll have a great evening.
Thank you.
And I want to apologize to the board. I know y'all are used to me jumping in and making motions, but as chair, I'm really not supposed to do that. And I'm trying to be a good girl my first night and not mess up too much. It was hard to keep quiet.
I like that you added on my first night. So we can expect shenanigans in the future.
Oh, I hope not. Let's just, I didn't think I would be this anxious about it, but anyway, Brian was too good to me. He was at every meeting and never, as vice chair, did I have to chair one. So this was kind of like, oh my gosh, now I really have to do this. So anyway.
You've been great.